Okay, you should have out lecture notes for lecture 11. And we're still doing descriptive statistics. We're still coming up with ways to describe or summarize big sets of data. We aren't doing any deep applying any probability theory or anything like that really yet. That's coming a little bit later on. Right now we just want to be able to summarize and describe data sets. To that end, we're going to look at another way to compare data points within a data set, something different than the z-scores, and we'll see that this leads to a powerful way to summarize a data set. We'll probably do that in the next lecture. Okay, so first off, we have a definition. The percentile of a data value in a data set, so we're inside some data set, is the percentage or fraction, let's just say percentage, of points in the data set that are beneath it, excuse me, beneath it in value. So strictly beneath it in value. And we usually round to the nearest integer when we talk about percentiles. So for example, let's see, I see here the examples and notation. So for example, the notation that we use, if I want to talk about the 30th percentile, let's say, 30th percentile. The way I indicate that is a p sub 30, and that means the 30th percentile. And what is that? That is the data value with 30% of data points beneath it in value. Okay, so P99 would be the 99th percentile. Okay, and that's the data value with 99% of the data points beneath it. Okay, so I have a way of comparing data points now by looking at their percentiles. There are 4 steps to computing a data value's percentile. So I have a data set, and I may be looking at a particular data value in that data set. What's its percentile? All right, 4 steps are, number 1, arrange the data in increasing order. In increasing order. Number 2 is I want to go and find the first occurrence from going from the lowest value on up. I want to find the first occurrence of the data value. All right, good, going from lowest to highest. And step 3 is, I guess I have here is, I'm the way I have it set up, that's part of step 2. Can I rub this out? This 3, I don't really want it just yet. Find the first occurrence of the data value and count the number of data points beneath it that are less than it. Step 3 then is divide this number by total number of data points. All right, that's going to give you a fraction and decimal number. So multiply this number, multiply it meaning the number I calculate in 3, by 100 and round to the nearest integer. And that's it. And that'll make a lot more sense if we just do a couple of examples. So if you look at then on your notes, you should have out, I say recall the set of weights of 25 newborns in pounds from lecture 7. And there I've listed that set. And I say, find the percentile of the weight, 8.2 pounds. Well, I do part A, so let me say this is number one. So this is example number 1, part A, it's done there in the notes. I took those weights and I put them in order from smallest to largest. Okay, part B. Let's see, I think I'm going to maybe move over here to write part B just so I have more room. Well, I want you to pause me and see if you can work through the whole thing. So give it a pause and see if you can get it, then we'll see if we agree. Okay, in part B, what are we doing? We are finding the first occurrence of that data value. And I'm not certainly going to write these all on the board, but if you count through, you will find that you'll find the first occurrence. There's only, I think, one occurrence of the weight, 8.2 pounds. And it turns out there are 18 data points below it. Right? So in part C, I will take 18, divide by 25. That's the total number of data points, right? And that turns out to be 0.72. So what that's saying is I have to go 0.72 or 72% of the way into the data from the bottom up to get to that value of 8.2. Right? So it makes sense that that's going to be the 72nd percentile, right? So part D, multiply by 100 to get 72, and then round if necessary. I don't need to round, so I get P72 is 8.2, or 8.2 is the 72nd percentile. 8.2 is 72nd percentile. Okay. Let's do another one here, and what do I say? I say find the percentile of 7.1 pounds. So 7.1 is P sub what, right? Pause me and see if you can get it. Okay, here we go. Part A, again, arrange the data values, the data points in order. That's done. Part B says count the number that are less than 7.1, and if you count through that, I think you will get 13. Notice that 7.1 occurs, I think, twice in the data set. You count all the data points less than 7.1, so you find the first occurrence here. For going from bottom to top, you find the first occurrence of that data value, and so you're just looking at then the data values that are really less than it. You can take the second one, because then the one right before it would be equal to it, right? They both be 7.1. You take that first 7.1, take the data points less, you'll count 13. So 13 now over 25 is 0.52. So part D, multiply by 100, you get 52, and I don't need to round. It's taken care of. So we would say that 7.1 is P sub 52, the 52nd percentile. All right, and I think I have enough room here to do the rest of this then. Well, what if you're given a percentile, you know, the 80th percentile or the 25th percentile or whatever, and you're asked then to find the data point in the data set that corresponds to that, all right? Well, there are different ways to do this. We'll use a popular way to do it, and it's a way that we'll just kind of be consistent and try to do it that way from here on out. So I say 3 steps here. So given a percentile value, how to find the data value with that percentile. How to find the corresponding data value. Well, 3 steps. Number 1, arrange data in order. And let's just say we have n data points. All right, n is 100 or 10 million or whatever. Okay, step 2, take that number of data points n and multiply it by the percentage that corresponds to the percentile. So multiply n by the percentage. So what you have is you have your, well, in our case, it's 25 data points. And say I want well, we're going to do some examples in a minute, but I want a certain percentile. I take that percentage and multiply by 25, and that's going to tell me what fraction of 25 of the 25 data points do I have to step up to get to my value, essentially, right? So we'll multiply n by the percentage, and then I'll just say round up, if not an integer. All right, then what? In step three, if you round it up, count that many data points from the bottom. There is your data value with the given percentile. All right? What if you didn't round? If you didn't round, count up that many points, and you'll get to that value, but that's not going to be your percentile. You count up that many points and take the mean of that value and the next highest. Okay, it's kind of maybe a little bit confusing, but that will actually give us a better, if not a perfect answer, will give us a better estimate of what the percentage of what that data value is that has that percentage of points beneath it. Well, I want to do two examples here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get both of them in. I might have to do a little erasing, which I don't like to do in the middle of a lecture. So, for example, I say, what do I say? Say find P35 for the set of newborns, for the set of newborn weights. All right? So, based on this, pause me and see if you can do it, and then we'll go through and do it. Okay, step one is already done. We put them in order, and let's see. Step two, I take n, which is 25, and multiply by the percentage. So this percentile is 35. That means 35%, so I'll write that as 0.35, which that comes from there, times 25. That's total number of data points. Right? And you get 8.75. I'm worried that this is not coming out. I might switch back to yellow. It doesn't look too bad, but I think yellow is better. All right. So now what? Round up, if not an integer. So we round up to 9. 9 data point, or a count of 9. Then what? If we round it up, count that many data points from the bottom, and there's your data value. So step 3, I start from the lowest point in my ordered set of data, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4 up to the 9th one. And if you do that, you get 6.3. That's the 9th from bottom, right? So we were asked to find P sub 35 in this data set, and the answer is 6.3. Okay, I do want to do this other example, so if you'll give me just a sec, I will try to rub some of this out, and just enough to give me enough room. It's kind of a job. To rub this stuff where the glass is nice and clean, but we can get it clean enough, I think. Okay, let's try this then. Next one is find P60, same data points as number 2. Find P60. All right, so I have the data in order. So this is part A. Data are in order, already done. Part B, I take 0.6, that's 60%, right, times 25. And again, that comes there because that would be 0.60, right? And this gives me 15. Gives me 15 on the dot. Okay, so what do I do here? Round up if it's not an integer. It is an integer, so I don't have to do anything to it at this stage. Next, what do? If I didn't round up, I count up that many data points. So if I start at the bottom and count up, I get to, so I'm on part C here, count up 15 points to get, I think it's 7.1, isn't it? Yes, to get to 7.1. But what does it say to do? It says if you count up that many and take the mean of that value and the next highest one. So the next point is 7.5. If you look, you should get that. So P of 60 is the mean of those two values. So it's 7.3. That's how you do that.